This video is going to be about how to handle burnout and bounce back. I'm going to break the harsh truth that burnout is actually good in a very specific way. Here's why you need burnout occasionally to keep leveling up. Burnout is information and a signal. It means that you have reached your current limit, but not your forever permanent limit. This is something I used to have this misconception. I think a lot of people do. They think that when you get burned out, it's because you've reached this maximum limit that you can never surpass. And that for the rest of your life, you'll be constrained by this limit just because you got burned out in this one situation. But let me break the hard truth to you. Burnout is just a sign that you don't have the systems and habits and approaches that are going to take you to that next level to push past it. It's a sign that you're doing things in maybe not the best way, and that's why you're feeling burnt out. The only way to grow is to keep pushing yourself near your upper limit so you know what the maximum is. If you never push, you'll never know what you're truly accomplishing. And by constantly being near that upper limit, it is inevitable that you will occasionally burn out. And this is important because it tells you what that temporary upper limit is and how maybe you can go about improving it and growing. Over time, this upper limit will increase as you adapt, both mentally and physically, to the increased workload required for success. And I'm speaking from personal experience, right? I used to struggle with just like 4-hour study sessions, right? But now I'm able to do 8 to 10 hours and it comes a lot easier than it did before. Don't believe most people that you should never be burned out. You should occasionally reach this limit so you know you are pushing hard enough with regard to your capabilities and not leaving any potential wasted. If you never, feel like pain, if you never feel any of these like struggling kind of feelings, you will never know if you're actually pushing. You might still have more left in the gas tank. You might still be able to go a little bit further. I'm not saying be burned out 24/7, but I'm saying that you need to push yourself to figure out what your current limit is and try to figure out how can you expand that. Here's what to do immediately following burnout, okay? So you have to realize that you have overstretched yourself a little and that you will need some time to recover. Your recovery will require either emotional, mental, and or physical rest. Once you hit this point of burnout, it's like you already crossed the threshold. All the systems and things that we can do to try to improve ourselves and, delay burnout, that doesn't apply here because you're already hitting that threshold right now. Taking a break from work is important to not only recharge, but also to identify why you are burned out and what was the thing that pushed you over the edge so you can be better for next time. If you only take breaks and you never think about why you're actually burned out, this will allow you to, by having some contemplation, and it'll allow you to just develop a better habit or develop a better strategy or approach to work that will reduce the amount of times that you're burned out and allow you to handle much higher workloads. You need to evaluate what happened and think through why you feel burned out. There will always be a way to push past it, and a lot of people call this like an obstacle. Right? You may think, burned out, this is my upper limit. But the approach you have to have is that it's not definitive. It is not the ultimate upper limit. It is just a temporary one. Don't try to keep pushing if you are burned out. I think this is very obvious, but I'm going to point out why it doesn't really matter or work. It won't work because you have past the point of being able to push through the pain. If you are already burned out, you have crossed that threshold like I mentioned before. Also, you have become a zombie and that is dragging through the work. Okay? To do the same amount of work burned out versus refreshed will require 5 times the effort and be much slower. When you're burned out, you're not focusing correctly. You're not full of energy. And as a result, you're actually just wasting time working. So once you're burned out, realize that, understand that the most productive thing, right? Taking a break is not only better, but it saves you time because you can get over the burnout faster and reset and then get back to work. If you keep pushing past this burnout, right, what's going to happen is your productivity is going to tank. It's going to go to the floor. You're not going to be able to actually finish anything meaningful. You're going to barely be able to think, and you're going to waste a bunch of time, and you're not going to be rested. So take that break after you're burned out. Understand why did you get burned out and try to re-strategize and think about how you can push much farther next time. Here's my experience with study burnout and how I overcame it. So I used to get very burned out when I would study for more than 4 hours at a time. And after taking some breaks and time to reflect on my burnout, I realized through trial and error that if I took a break every 2 hours by changing work locations, I would delay burnout for much longer. So I made it sound very simple. I made it sound like I immediately figured that out. That was something that took a while to figure out. But it's like you have to just keep trying out different things and trying, because success depends on a lot of hard work. You need to optimize yourself to be able to do as much work as possible without killing yourself, without burning out, and without like dying. Okay. And the way to do that is think strategically about how you can healthily maximize the amount of work you do. Now I can typically study for up to 6 to 8 hours in a day without having much energy drain or burnout. Oftentimes, your upper limit for work can be much higher if you just spread it out throughout the day and break it up instead of trying to do it all in one sitting. If you have 1 hour work sessions and you take 10-minute breaks or maybe 5-minute breaks, and you just keep repeating that, you can probably do many, many 1 hour work sessions. And here's the same thing with my studying, 2 hours. If you do 2 hours and you repeat that, right? That means I could easily do 6 to 8 hours, and it's like separated. It feels a lot better than if you try to do 6 to 8 hours in one sitting. It's extremely draining. This doesn't actually waste any time, because when you take breaks, you recharge your focus compared to if you didn't. So breaks make you more productive and actually save time in the long run, because you are fresh and able to work harder and more efficiently. Overcoming burnout is about strategy, not effort. Don't think burnout is your maximum cap of your abilities. It's just your current limitations because of your current systems and approaches to work. I guarantee that if you had better systems, habits, and routines, you would be able to work for longer and much more efficiently. This allows you to get more done in less time without being burned out and achieve more in the long run. If you have any other questions or comments or any other videos you want me to do, put them down below. Make sure you subscribe for more and keep pushing.